Sí.
Doctor Hodel es profesor investigador de la Universidad de California, Los Ángeles. Tiene aproximadamente 31 años trabajando para esta universidad. Él ha enfocado su trabajo de investigación sobre todo al cultivo, a la taxonomía de palmas y de plantas leñosas. Ha publicado alrededor de 514 artículos científicos y aproximadamente 8 libros. Ha impartido cursos de identificación y selección de manejos de plantas leñosas, y él estudió en sus estudios de posgrados en la Universidad de Hawái. Entonces, recibimos con un caluroso aplauso al doctor Hodel que hizo. Entonces, él va a hablar sobre el género cambiador en México.
Sí.
La presentación la tiene en español, pero él va a hablar en inglés, ¿no?
Más o menos.
Adelante.
¿Puedes cambiar? Okay, so first, an apology. I'm very sorry, but my Spanish not too good. Mi español no es muy bueno. Okay? Es suficiente para hablar con nosotros, pero para hacer una presentación técnica es más difícil para mí. Pero I'm very humbled, and I humbly ask your patience with me. And I give you much thanks for, I'm honored to be here and make this presentation for you. I feel very special that you would invite me to do this talk. Okay, Chamaedorea is a type of palm tree. It's in the Ericaceae family. Más o menos 110 species. From Mexico through Mesoamerica to South America. Chamaedorea are small, dioecious understory palms. Ellos viven en el sombre de los árboles grandes. Most Chamaedorea are in wet and very wet primary forests. For example, selva tropical, el bosque pluvial montaño, el bosque nuboso. There are few Chamaedoreas in secondary forest or disturbed forest. So Chamaedoreas are a palm of primary forest, not disturbed forest. Por ejemplo, este es Chamaedorea carchensis en Cerro Baúl, aquí en Chiapas, ¿verdad? En la frontera de Chiapas y Oaxaca, en el bosque húmedo y nuboso. There are two centers of diversity, the mountains of Mexico and Guatemala, and then the mountains of Costa Rica and Panama. Mexico has the most species and is the most rich and diverse in Chamaedorea in todo el mundo. Más o menos 50 species, más o menos more or less 50 species. The mostly in Chiapas, Oaxaca, and Veracruz. But Miguel me dijo que él sabe otras especies de Chamaedorea nuevas, yo creo. In Mexico, Chamaedorea extends up the west coast to Sinaloa and Durango, and in the northeast to Nuevo León, San Luis Potosí, and Tamaulipas. Most of the species are either in the Mexico-Guatemala area or Panama, Costa Rica, but there are a few species that extend their distribution all across Mesoamerica. For example, Chamaedorea ehrenbergiana, Mexico to Colombia. Chamaedorea quesalteca, Costa Ricana, from Mexico to Panama. Chamaedorea pinnifrons, from Mexico to Brazil, Bolivia, Ecuador, and Peru. Chamaedorea stenocarpa, Guatemala, Costa Rica, and Panama. Chamaedorea tenella in Mexico and Costa Rica. Chamaedorea tepehilote, Mexico to Colombia. And Chamaedorea woodsoniana, Mexico to Colombia. So, Chamaedorea ehrenbergiana in Chiapas, and Chamaedorea woodsoniana in Veracruz. Chamaedorea, the genus, is primarily richest in higher altitude and higher latitude. For example, Chamaedorea nubium and Chamaedorea parvicecta can grow up to 2,500 meters in cloud forests, with Alnus quercus liquid ambar in Chiapas. Chamaedorea radicalis occurs to the north of the Tropic of Cancer in Tamaulipas and Nuevo León, in a bosque, in a forest of Pinus and Quercus. And Chamaedorea cochulensis is very close to the Tropic of Cancer in Sinaloa and Durango. También en el bosque Pinus and Quercus. Chamaedorea also is in some unusual habitats. For example, limestone rocks, rocas calcareas, in humid forests or dry forests. These species, while they occur on limestone rocks, the limestone rocks, they aren't necessarily restricted to those rocks. They can also occur in habitat that doesn't have limestone rocks. A few species are in dry forests, bosque seco, and one species, muy famoso, is Chamaedorea cataractarum. It's a rheophyte, rheophytica species, here in Chiapas, aquí en Chiapas. It's very strange. Por ejemplo, the species of Chamaedorea que viven en rocas calcáreas, aquí en Chiapas y Oaxaca. Chamaedorea tepehilote in rocas calcáreas. Chamaedorea en el bosque seco. Examples, Chamaedorea plumosa here in Chiapas. Está muy cerca en la carretera a San Francisco.
No, Juan Crispín.
Juan Crispín, sí. Y Chamaedorea secretizai in the Yucatan, Quintana Roo, Campeche, Tabasco. En el bosque muy seco. So here is Chamaedorea plumosa in Juan Crispín y cerca Las Rosas, los dos en Chiapas. Y Chamaedorea cataractarum, rheophytico, Oaxaca, Chiapas, Tabasco. It's a cespitose species very densely clustered stems because it's growing in the water, and a veces at times the water is very high, the agua muy alto, y la palmera is under the water. Okay, in Chamaedorea there are several habits. They're solitary with one stem. Most of the species are solitary. Or cespitose, so they have multiple stems. Only a few species. Most species are solitary. And they show a great diversity in leaf size and shape. For example, some leaves are less than 30 centimeters long, but then some leaves can be 3 meters long. And there's one liana, one vine in Chamaedorea, Chamaedorea elatio, which I think grows here in Chiapas, huh? Miguel, you've seen elatio?
Yes.
In Chiapas. Okay. So, on the left is Chamaedorea sartori in Veracruz, is solitario. Chamaedorea microsphaex in Hidalgo is cespitose. And the Chamaedorea elatia, or liana, it's able to climb on adjacent vegetation because of the leaflets, which are pointed backwards, and they go like this on the nearby trees. Maybe 10 or 15 metros long. There's a wide range of leaf shapes in Chamaedorea. This is Chamaedorea ernesti augusti in California, cultivada in California. Chamaedorea turquinii in Veracruz. The Chamaedorea tenella. So, muy pequeña y muy grande simple leaves. También Chamaedorea elatia has juvenile leaves that are very, very long and large and simple. This was on limestone rocas calcareas in the Isthmus of Tehuantepec. What is it? Un poquito más tiempo. Esta palma climbs, como se climbs into the tree. It's juvenile. And pinnate leaves, Chamaedorea hooperiana in Veracruz, in Bosque Nuboso. So, like the leaves, the stems can be very, very small or quite large. As small as 6 millimeters or as large as 10 centimeters in diameter. The cespitose species have several ways of branching. They can have basal branches. They can branch dichotomously. Chamaedorea cataractarum is dichotomous branching. They can have rhizomes or stolons. And as I said, the leaves can be simple or bifid or pinnate. So here's Chamaedorea rhizomatosa. It's a cespitose species from Oaxaca. And this is Chamaedorea pochulensis, cultivada in San Diego, California. Cespitose. basal branches. Now, this is Chamaedorea rhizomatosa in Oaxaca. It has rhizomes and stolons. You can see the stolons over the rocks. Sometimes the stolons are 1 metro o 2 metros en una nueva planta. The inflorescences of Chamaedoreas can be infrafoliar or interfoliar. They're typically 1 per node, rarely multiple per node. And typically they're branched to 1 order. Sometimes they're branched to 2 orders. Rarely are they unbranched, in which case they're spicate. The male or staminate rachilli typically are soft and drooping, and the female or pistillate rachilli typically are straight or sometimes upright. So here we have Chamaedorea genomiformis, a male plant hanging down, soft. And here's Chamaedorea cypritzae, female, going upright. So the flowers of Chamaedorea are, we can talk about their arrangement. In most species, the flowers are solitary. In a few species, they are contiguous. They're juntos, muy denso. And in a couple species, they're in short lines called acervuli. And the color can range from yellow to orange to whitish to green. So, using the flowers, we can make a key to the subgenera of Chamaedorea. For example, if the petals are connate, in both sexes, male and female, it's subgenus Collinia. Collinia tiene una especie, Chamaedorea elegans. Es muy común. If the petals are distinct in both sexes, as opposed to connate, if they're distinct, separate, and if the petals are thickened and persistent in fruit, or the petals are not thickened and persistent in fruit. So here is Chamaedorea elegans, the petals connate in both sexes, and the corolla has an apical aperture. So you can see the petals are fused, connate. Okay? So if the petals of the pistillate flowers are orange, brilliant orange, and hooded, they're hooded, and the inflorescences, staminate inflorescences, are solitary at a node, subgenus eleutheropetal. If the petals of the pistillate flowers are whitish to yellow-green and not hooded, and the inflorescences, staminate, are multiple at a node with frutos rojos, es Morenia. Morenia es un subgenus de Colombia, Venezuela, Peru. Okay? So here's eleutheropetalum. The petals are distinct, and they're orange, and they're hooded over the interparts of the flowers. So subgenus eleutheropetalum, Chamaedorea, Ernesti augusti. Okay, so again, if the petals are not thickened and persistent in fruit, then we have two choices. The flowers, staminate flowers, have petals that are united, and the apieces are adnate to the pistil lobe, and the corolla opens by a lateral aperture. So it's a petal like this. It's subgenus Chamaedorea. Or if the petals of staminate flowers are free and spreading, not connate. Okay? So here's subgenus Chamaedorea, Chamaedorea geneiformis. You see the petals are connate, and here you can see the aperture where the corolla opens. And in los insectos pueden entrar for the pollen through these holes. The subgenus Chamaedorea. Okay, so if the going to the other choice, the flowers, staminate flowers have petals that are free and diffuse and not connate, then we have two choices. The flowers, staminate flowers are contiguous. They're densely placed. It's subgenus Stephanostachys. Or if the flowers of staminate flowers are solitary, and they're in lines, short lines, called acervuli. Okay? So here's subgenus Stephanostachys, Chamaedorea aureophylla from Hidalgo and Veracruz. Staminate flowers, very, very dense, muy denso. Okay. Finally, if we have the staminate flowers separated, solitary, and in short lines, acervuli, it's two subgenera. The inflorescences are 3 to 4 at a node. It's subgenus Meradiopsis. Or if the inflorescences are solitary at a node, we have another possibility. So, inflorescences, staminate, solitary at a node, two choices. The staminate flowers separate and solitary, it's subgenus Chamaedoropsis. Or flowers, staminate in short lines, acervuli, it's subgenus Meraniella. Meraniella is solamente in Mexico. In the northeast, in Tamaulipas, Nuevo León, Hidalgo, maybe Veracruz. Okay. So subgenus Chamaedoropsis, Chamaedorea plumosa, de Chiapas. The petals are free and spreading. And Chamaedorea oblongata, the petals are free and spreading. And Meraniella, Chamaedorea microspadix from Hidalgo and Tamaulipas, San Luis Potosí. We have these short lines, líneas cortas, se llama acervuli. Okay, ethnobotanica. famous ethnobotanical use of Chamaedorea is the male inflorescences of Chamaedorea tepehilote. They're utilized for food and utilized like a vegetable. And this is called pacaya. The male inflorescences look like ears of corn. And maybe over 2,000 or 3,000 years, the Mayan Indians in southern Mexico, but especially in Guatemala, selected pacaya for size and flavor. Especially in Guatemala, where pacaya is very famous. So this is Chamaedorea tepehilote, cultivada por pacaya en Guatemala. Está muy cerca a México, la frontera de México. So these are the inflorescences, staminate, unopened, so muy grande. Para vender en una ciudad en Guatemala. When you open it up, take off the bracts. This is what you have. These are the male rachilli with the flowers. Notice how close the flowers are. Las flores estaminadas son muy denso. Es subgenus Stephanostachys. Okay? Y para comer. Es como un vegetal. ¿Conoces pacaya?
Yeah, so tasty.
Y a veces, in a few situations, Chamaedorea is used in religious ceremonies. The leaves are used to adorn structures and doors of churches certain times of the year, especially around San Cristobal de las Casas in pueblos nearby. At times you find the leaves. Ellos buscan en el bosque, cortan las hojas y llevan para usar en ceremonias religiosas. So what is the future of Chamaedorea? Conservation is very important, muy importante. Los bosques are destroyed and disturbed. It's not a good future for Chamaedorea. I'm a pessimist. Soy pesimista. And yo creo que el futuro de Chamaedorea en todos los países es peligroso. Porque el bosque, corta el bosque y disturb, muy perturbado el bosque. No es bueno para Chamaedorea. Tenemos que preservar el hábitat, es muy importante. Y nuevas especies, creo que sí. Y Miguel he is very competent. And I think he is going to find and identify a new species. Because él me escribía. Y él me dijo que él encontré Chamaedoreas nuevas. Esta semana él y yo vamos a ver esas especies. Okay. ¿Hay preguntas?
¿Preguntas? One question. Do you think there are cryptic species in Chamaedorea?
So by cryptic you mean they can change? You want to say the question in Spanish so everyone understands?
Estoy preguntando si hay especies crípticas en el género Chamaedorea, es decir, especies que se consideran que son una sola especie o que están ocultas bajo una especie que tiene una distribución muy amplia y que están son varias entidades. Sí, es complex species.
Complex?
Especies complex.
Sí, creo que sí. Por favor, explica la situación de Chamaedorea plumosa y Chamaedorea classifolia. Está muy cerca aquí, sí, los dos, sí, pero hay
diferencias morfológicas.
En diferencias en las floras y en el pétalo.
Ajá, y diferencias genéticas.
Sí, sí.
Y son especies muy parecidas, muy similares,
sí,
que por mucho tiempo los investigadores a nivel general consideraban que era una sola especie. El doctor las publicó como especies diferentes y mucha gente no creía que eran especies diferentes y pues pensaban que era parte de lo mismo, ¿no? Pero ya haciendo análisis morfológico y análisis genético se ha determinado que son especies diferentes, ¿no?
Yeah, to me, it's very strange that two species that in their gross morphology are very similar.
Yes.
But and they live so close together.
Yes.
Maybe only 10 kilometers apart. Yet they are different genetically.
Yes.
So it's amazing to me. ¿Tú puedes explicar?
Esas dos especies crecen muy cerca. Por ejemplo, Chamaedorea glaucifolia crece en el cañón del Sumidero y Chamaedorea plumosa está aquí nada más en Juan Crispín. Entonces es sorprendente de que estando a distancias tan cortas y siendo especies muy parecidas morfológicamente puedan ser especies distintas, ¿no? Y para él fue una gran sorpresa haber encontrado eso y que nosotros hayamos ratificado esos resultados, o sea, de que son especies diferentes con herramientas moleculares y morfológicas.
About the comment about a species complex, yes, I believe there are species complexes, and I think one of them is Chamaedorea pinnatifrons.
Mm-hmm.
And another is Chamaedorea tepehilote. Typically, they're widely distributed. Tepehilote and pinnatifrons from South America to Mexico. And in many places, many local places, you can find local variants. And I think these do represent a species complex. Because some of those local variances have been given separate names, which I consider synonyms. ¿Entiendes? ¿Tú puedes explicar?
Sí, que pues existen especies como Chamaedorea tepehilote que tienen una amplia distribución y es muy probable que ya con estudios más finos puedan en un momento dado llegar a separarse, ¿no? Entonces es un trabajo muy largo que se necesita en el género Chamaedorea.
¿Hay más preguntas?
¿Alguien quiere preguntar algo más?
Yes.
As a taxonomist, what do you think about the use of molecular tools to solve the problem, the difference between species?
So, ¿tú puedes
diga
again en español para el grupo, por favor?
Como taxónomo, ¿qué opina del uso de herramientas moleculares para resolver la diferenciación entre especies?
So, one of the things I did when I started doing research on Chamaedorea is I would grow them, plant the seeds and grow them, and watch them as little plants, bigger, until they flower. You understand?
Yes.
Yeah. And I am not a molecular taxonomist. I'm an old-fashioned kind of taxonomist who looks at morphological characteristics. So I think molecular taxonomy is another tool to use to supplement morphological taxonomy. And vice versa, morphological taxonomy is also a tool that can supplement molecular taxonomy. So I think both are important, and I think both are necessary to understand taxonomy. ¿Tú puedes explicar en español, por favor?
Como taxónomo de la vieja escuela, se basa mucho en las características morfológicas, conociendo el desarrollo de la planta, desde semillas hasta que producen flores, pero que las dos herramientas pues, son complementarias y que se necesitan para estos trabajos.
I know some molecular taxonomists, and they have made some decisions with Chamaedorea that I don't necessarily agree with. And I think that because people like me who grow them, we grow the plants, we're able to observe them over many years, their flowering habit, and I've seen many Chamaedorea in the wild, native Chamaedorea, visiting Latin America. And I think sometimes that some of the molecular taxonomists that I know, they don't have as much experience with the living plant, with the entire plant. And so that may be a shortcoming for them. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think having an intimate knowledge of the living plant in its entirety is really important. But molecular taxonomy is a good tool we can use also.
Yes. Bueno, pues su experiencia, conociendo todo el proceso durante muchos años de las plantas, pues puede saber algunos aspectos de la biología de las palmas y que no necesariamente concuerda con algunos taxónomos que utilizan puras herramientas moleculares y que a veces se carece del conocimiento en el campo de las plantas en vivo, ¿no? Pero que sí es una herramienta importante. My question was in this sense because I think that some people abuse molecular tools, and we need more information from the field.
Yeah, I agree 100% with you. Es cierto. Es cierto. ¿Hay más preguntas?
En español y las traducciones.